Today, I want to talk about a controversial issue. It's about identity. I think that it's only controversial because I don't agree with it. And for some reason, a lot of people really scream, kick, cry about identity, politics around it. I think that a lot of people are brainwashed, confused, and just haven't really thought for themselves. I think that they never thought about it from an outside perspective, of course, because it's identity, so it's internal, it's about them. So to step outside of that is pretty tricky. That being said, I am in a type of, I guess you could say, stage where I've been able to step outside of myself, and through minimalism practice and personal development, I can really be outside of myself and look at myself and my actions and my thoughts as well from the outside. A lot more than I think many people can. I don't know how many, but a good amount. So with identity, I think what I'm seeing from people is that they identify with things that I personally disagree is an identity marker. You could say that the majority of people agree that these things are identities, but I disagree fully. And it's not like I don't understand. I just got to the point where I'm like, wait a minute, you know what? That's strange. That's funny. Why is it work here but not there? So one of the, I guess you could say, popular right now is like gender, right? If you're male or female, like, okay, so you identify with being a guy or a girl, like, okay, okay, sure, fine. Or even more specific and popular is your race. If you're black, Mexican, Chinese, whatever, you identify with that. That's your identity. Or I guess if I can't really think of anything. Those are the two big ones right now. Uh, and I'll use those examples because I personally don't see, say, race as an identity. I don't think it's an identifier. I think it's something that you are. Same with gender. It's like that's what you are. Like that is not. It's not an identity. To me, I don't think identity is like these things that you're inherently grown up with, like the things that you don't have a choice in. To me, identity is strictly what you do with it. And the best analogy I can think of like how I see identity is think of a poker player, right? They sit down and they say, I'm a poker player. Okay, cool. And then they get dealt shit cards, just total crap. Does that mean that that poker player is a shit poker player? No. Like, that's a truly bad hand, like, as a matter of fact. But that doesn't mean that that poker player is a bad hand. And then, say, the amateur, first time playing, they say, I'm a poker player now. And they get dealt a really good hand. Are they a really good poker player? No. Because the way I see identity in its entirety is what you do as a person, how you play, how you do things, what you do with the cards you've been dealt, so to speak. And that is your identity. That is the kind of poker player that you are, if you're good or bad. Are you a good person whether you're white, black, Chinese, male, or female? Like, it depends on what you do and what you do with those cards that you've been dealt. That is your identity. It has nothing to do with the cards. Now, how good of you are can also be measured against the handicap that you've been dealt. So if you did get dealt a really crappy hand and you managed to win it and play that game, and like you just, you was a bluffed very well out of it, whatever the technique, like that's like extra props to you than having a good hand and then just dealing it. And yeah, I mean, again, if you just have a good hand and you deal it, that doesn't mean that you're a good poker player. You just had a good hand. And I mean, that person's the only person who's going to be able to sleep at night thinking like that. I mean, if that puts you to sleep tonight at night thinking you're a good person or player, if you had dealt a good hand and you just go about your day winning, then whatever, it's your life. But I think being objective and not harping down on like these things that you are as identities. It's stupid. Like, I hear people even talk about minimalism like this, like, oh, I'm a minimalist. Like, yeah, well, it doesn't really work that way. Like, yeah, you can say it because it makes the conversation easier, but am I a minimalist? Like, of sorts. Like, I play the game of minimalism. Am I good at it? Sometimes. Sometimes I'm really good, and sometimes I'm really bad. But it's not my identity. It's something that I do. It's like the poker player. Let's go back to that. Is they're not poker players as an identity. They're either good or bad at the game. But being a poker player isn't their identity. It's just the game they're playing. So minimalism is a game I'm playing. Whether I'm good or not is a different story. My identity, am I good at it? Do I work hard at it? Do I take risks? So on. That's kind of how I see it. Now I'm open to feedback, and maybe I'm wrong about some things, but I can't see any other way about it. I've been thinking like this for a long time. But again, I also do identify as a person who changes his mind depending on new information if I agree with it. Hello, how's it going? Good. So, you guys let me know what you think of that, and if you have any other questions or you have an idea that you want me to talk on, let me know, and I'd love to get back to you. Cheers. One thing quickly I wanted to interject here was I don't necessarily believe that the items that you have are also identity. Like if you have a Porsche or a nice watch or cool clothes, those are not identity markers. Forgot to mention that. So, yeah, I hope that that's clear because I always see that. I feel like a lot of times that's generally what people try to do. They try to get these cool clothes and watches and all that stuff, thinking that that's what makes them awesome or better. But in fact, usually the people that do that are not better, they're worse because they think that that's what makes it better. So they just come off as like the result of something like that is like they're a douchebag, right? And it's because they don't understand what a real identity is. So anytime somebody thinks, oh, well, I'm a professional athlete, whatever, right? And you're like, yeah, whatever, dude. Like, chill the fuck out. I don't care. It's the things that people do, again, and how they act and see it that is the identifiers. Not these inherent things like saying I'm a poker player or I have this car. Like, yeah, go to hell, dude,